listening to Truth on Tap with hosts Kevin Tierstein.
Yeah. Yes, you are. You are, my friends. And I'm glad to have you here. You're listening to Truth on Tap.
Some say that karma is a bitch.
Yeah.
Some say that
I say it.
is a bitch.
I bet my dead grandma would say it if she were alive. Because it's the big show, y'all.
Okay, so last week I had to travel.
This is my friend that stayed in a haunted hotel. I'll bet she made assumptions, but assumptions got her looking at ghosts. Don't know if that's healthy. It's the big show. You're listening to Truth on Tap. Your host is Kevin Kierstead. It is September 23rd, 2013 at 1 a.m. in the morning. Who am I talking to tonight? Night owls. But you know, I got plenty of people that'll listen to these podcasts later. So if you can't take part in the late night shows that I tend to do, I do plenty, during the day. I kind of mix it up a little bit. Usually pretty stable on doing one on Fridays at 10 or 11 p.m. Capitals shows, I'm usually pretty stable at doing those right after a Capitals game or after every other game. So there's the stability ones. The other ones I pepper in. Oh, if you like the shows, you may want to listen to some old episodes, and I certainly hope you'll tune into the new episodes. We're going to be talking about a few things tonight. There is a picture going around Facebook that has, and this was my concern several hours ago, but it kind of accelerated in interest as I got into some discussions with friends about it. The real question was, my belief was that racism had been displayed. But then I started thinking, well, what if I just take racism out? Let's take racism out. Okay. In fact, it was my idea. Let me explain the picture to you so you're not going in blind here. All right. So there's a picture. And if you want to look at this picture, decide for yourself, it's an awful long address. And this is going to be hard for me. I am sick, but I'm forcing it. http://www.facebook.com/photo.php $FBID equals 662919553741272 ampersand set equals A.313468895 353 underscore 2619807008 ampersand type equals 1 ampersand theater. Bam. If you didn't get that, rewind it. If you don't care about it, go to Google, type in priorities. This man knows what's important. It'll probably pull up the picture. As a matter of fact, down at the lower right of the picture, there's a site mentioned called wittytudes.com. That is WITITUDES.com. I'm sure they'll have it. It may be even be near the top of their page or results. So what do you have? Excuse me. You have a white guy carrying two cats through a flooded street. You are given the impression that this is a danger area. Things are getting very bad. That's the impact of the photo right up front. Behind the white guy, slightly out of focus, is a darker-skinned fellow. Appears to be African American. Could be a Pacific Islander or certain types of Asians, or an extremely well-tanned white person. Carrying a bunch of other stuff that are not cats, okay? What it says below that is priorities. This man knows what's important. Now think about it for a second. Think about the words first. Priorities. This man knows what's important. If you take the dark man out of the back, go ahead and crop him out, and stretch the photo out so it still looks good. So you've just got the white man carrying the cats. And you read priorities. This man knows what's important. It does okay, right? It stands on its own. Yeah. All right, now put the black man back in there with the stuff he's carrying that does not appear to be animals. And look at it again. Priorities. This man knows what's important. Here's what I hear screaming from behind that line. This man knows what's important. The man behind him does not. That's what I get. That's exactly what I get. And if you go to Facebook and you look up what are probably now a few hundred comments on this picture, including my own, you'll see that many think it's racist. Many think it is something to do with, and even more importantly, in my view, a lot of people are saying people want to jump to conclusions. Oh, the white man is saving his animals, but the black man or even the other man, maybe they're not even thinking about race. We can put race on the margin. The other man is not. You hear me? You hearing me? Okay. Now, I'm about to blow this shit out of the water because that's kind of what I like to do. The assumption is that the man in the front carrying the cats is a hero, that the man in the back is a materialistic asshole who just wants to carry some blankets and boxes. You with me? You sure? Okay, pull the picture up. Get to that picture any way you can. I got the picture up right now, folks. I'm looking at the picture. And it appears to me that the black man in the back is carrying a dog. That's right. This is going to be a shocker to those of y'all that didn't look. Yeah, look down by his right hip. Does that not look like a dog with a white face and brown ears looking straight ahead? The truth is, maybe it's not, but maybe it is. Now, how does that change your perception? Oh, you ain't heard nothing yet. Okay, that's just based on what you can see. You can't see what's in that package he's carrying, the way he's got it. Tell me that couldn't be 2 infants in there and 3 more cats. Tell me that he didn't leave his Lamborghini at home to grab his 2 infants, 3 cats, and his dog. Are you sure about that? Are you positive? Because you made the jump. You know, when you first saw the picture, you said, white guy being the hero, other guy, black or not being such a hero. That's what you said in your mind. People, that's not acceptable. That is one of the crippling balls and chains around the ankle of human progress and learning that there is today that is driving us to a grinding halt on progress. Do not make assumptions when you don't have the information. If it's a life or death situation that is fast coming down upon you, an assumption may be all you have to go on. When you're looking at a photo and the first thing that comes to mind is what you say must be the Word of God, you're making a mistake. Think for a second. Think, how much information do I have about either one of these? How do I know the white guy hasn't left all his family at home and his pets and has found 2 cats to go try to sell to an animal laboratory experiment lab, whatever? How do I know that? How do I know the black guy hasn't already saved all his pets and family and has come back to help the white guy carry his stuff? Do I have any data that suggests something different? I do not. I do not. So why the hell am I going to look at this picture and say, the white guy's got a heart, the black guy / whatever guy behind him, materialistic? What a shame, you know? What a terrible shame that should be upon us. We really are idiots. And I'm right there with you, man. I'm right there with you. I'm an average guy. We're fucking idiots is what we are. That's why we're learning so slow. Evidence. You need evidence. You need data that are solid in order to make good claims, to build good science, to move on to the next discovery. Evidence. Some of the things I do in my hobbies, I go ghost hunting because I find it fun. I do other things that poke around the edges of science and in which I cannot use empirical data to try to prove that they're correct. It is my confession that that is not scientific behavior. But let me tell you why I do it, above and beyond the fact that it's fun. I'll do something that's fun regardless of how great it seems to you, as long as it's legal. We have our freedom in America. We can do what we think is fun. If I want to go fly kites near power lines, I'll do it. You don't get to judge. You know, maybe you don't want your kids hanging around me, but fine, get your kids out of here. I'm flying my kites near power lines. I live in America. I can do that. I like to go ghost hunting. I am absolutely intrigued by the thought that there may be life after this one and that it may interact with us by crossing whatever planes are there that must be crossed. The average white lab coat wearing scientist will not take that lab coat off and take his Coke bottle glasses off and put down his spectrometer and all other kinds of words that end in ometer and come out with you in the field and poke around and see if he can find a ghost. He's not, you know what he wants? He wants the experiment already proven so that he can duplicate it in his lab and say, look at what I did. They are terrified of being wrong about something, and they do nothing to poke around at the outskirts of science. There's your drawback. What does a scientist do? They define science very well. They define known scientific principle very well. They do it extremely well because it's all they do. Who is it that's finding new science and making new discoveries? People who are walking out of the lab, dropping the coat, and saying, I'm going to go out here and decide if ESP is a real possibility. And I'm going to start setting up experiments. And they poke and they prod, and the next thing you know, you're calling right down the middle, CALLATT, without a fucking phone. Because ESP has been discovered, unraveled, and now you know how to use it. Those are the people that I admire the most. They're willing to stake their reputations and their life on doing something a little crazy because a little crazy is what it takes sometimes to make progress. That's me. That's how I feel about it. We're going to go into some other things. I don't want it to be confined only to this topic, and I got a feeling that I forgot to change the title of this, so I think I can do that on the fly. And I'll do that as I'm talking to you. I'm going to tell you a little bit of technical stuff. I like to, for people that are just tuning in, I've been on the radio for about a month, been doing my radio show. Been getting a lot of listeners. Surprisingly, I didn't expect to get any listeners, and in truth, I didn't really care. It was more of a therapeutic thing for me. I've always had this fantasy of having a radio show. I don't know why, and I demonstrated that over the years. Hated my voice and still hate my voice, yet now I care so little that it's okay with me that I hate my voice. I can't let that stop me from doing a radio show. I just avoid listening to my own radio shows and we're fine. So there's that. And I feel like I have enough to offer where I can help people. I really can. I can listen to people's problems, listen to their complaints. I can listen to the complaints coming in from 3 people, and I can find common ground with them. And we can tie something together, something that's workable. I have confidence in those abilities. I may not have a lot of abilities, but I got those. So why not? Radio show's a perfect form of media for that. Why not? You know, that's what I'm going to do. Going over here real quick. Let's see. I'm going to pull up Spreaker and pull up my episode and change the name so people aren't misled. If there's one thing that Truth on Tap does not like to do, it is to mislead. So going over to episodes, we're going to change the episode description on this particular episode. We're going to call this Jumping to Conclusions. Conclusions. I used to be a spelling champ, by the way, which does you no good anymore, you know. Who knew that? I wouldn't have tried if I knew spell check was coming. Jumping to conclusions, subtle racism, which is becoming a big thing now in my book. I don't like racists from any race. And the third thing was argument tactics. And this is something I'd been thinking about all day, actually, so I don't know if it'll fit in there. So let's see, jumping to conclusions, racism, and arguments. No, I can't even fit that in there. Alright, well, I'll fit it in the description. And this is not comedy, that's for sure. It's going to be in probably culture. Oh, lordy. Yeah, I'll just put it in culture, not even a subtopic. Subtle racism is what we were talking about. The terrible education slowing mistake of jumping to conclusions, and argumentative tactics and how you can decode those when you're in an argument. And the reason I wanted to share that is I was thinking about some legal stuff I'd been through earlier and how they use these arguments in court. And this comes from the very womb of philosophy. Arguments, and when you hear the word argument, I ask my friends who have not taken the academia path because they found it boring, and I can't blame them. And there are plenty of famous people who have said, stay away from formal education, it'll ruin you. Well, maybe so, and maybe it ruined me. So when I say you've stayed away from academia, I'm not saying, hey, guess what? I'm smarter than you. Truth is, I may be dumber than you. It's not important to me. Just important that I share what I think I've found out. That's all. If you haven't taken the academia route, down in the bowels of philosophy, all through time, Socrates to Kant to everybody. I could name 100,000 philosophers, and most of them you wouldn't recognize. They have had arguments. Most people hear the word argument and think there's a fight going on. That's not true. Arguments simply mean disagreement. And you can have very calm and professional disagreements. A standard presidential debate is an argument. Look at any court document. You're going to see the argument consist of, and it's not people screaming back and forth. It simply means we have two conclusions that cannot match up. Let's iron this out. Let's lay the facts out and give the presiding body, whether that be the court of public opinion or the judge herself, give that presiding body the option of finding the most believable evidence and going with that. That's all an argument is. So when I say argument, that's what I'm talking about. A very simple disagreement where one person gets to lay out their evidence and the other person gets to lay out theirs. Just so we're on the same page there. This is permanent. This is how I always talk about argument. If I say people are having an argument in the street where they've pulled knives, I'm talking about something else. Any other way I use the word argument, I'm talking about a gentle, professional disagreement that shouldn't even raise your blood pressure, okay? Because all it is two mismatching opinions. And we're going to lay out our evidence for each one and see, which one sounds more convincing. Probably lean toward that one, even if we don't close our mind on either one. Okay? Subtle racism, terrible, and argumentative tactics. So, again, that was the third topic. Argumentative tactics. Those being tricks used to sound more impressive and more convincing and more influential in an argument, in a disagreement. Okay? Philosophers have used this since the beginning of time. When they debate anybody. Socrates was famous for it. Didn't matter who it was. You come up to him on the street, I want to know the meaning of life. What's he going to say? First of all, define life. He's going to get right into it with you. And before you're done, you're going to walk away from that man an entirely changed human, because that's how good he is. He had a full understanding of logic. Now, if you've ever done a logic puzzle, you know this. Go to a store. Go look at the books. Go to a big store. It's got some good selection. Go to the book section. Walmart probably has them. Look for a little book down there near the crosswords and stuff called logic puzzles. Okay? Work through a few of those. You nail those, you'll realize what it is to make deductive and inductive reasoning assumptions based on logic. Okay? Very few people use logic in their thinking. They'll tell you they do. Work through some of those logic puzzles and then tell me that you've been using logic. Okay? They're very mathematical in nature. In fact, the philosopher and mathematician Pythagoras would tell you that they are one and the same, math and philosophy. It would blow your mind. Read about Pythagoras if you haven't. I had to write a long report on him with another friend in school. What an interesting character that guy was. Wow. I mean, he was like the father of the Matrix, you know, the old dude that sat there and was the creator of the Matrix or whatever, the source. God, homeboy was nutty. Had a following, too. The smartest ones usually are nutty, aren't they? So yeah, they used argumentative tactics. You may have heard of the Socratic method. Socratic method is when... Here's the easiest way to understand. It goes much deeper than this, but the easiest way to identify it, Socrates was always trying to get you to say yes to his points. All right? You ever read How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie? He mentions it. Get people saying yes. Doesn't matter to what. So you're talking to somebody, you know you're trying to sell them something, all right? And they come up to you and say, listen, I heard you were selling wheelbarrows. I've got 7 at home, and I only use 3 of them. Hell, if I need one. So here's what you do. You say, sure, I understand. You don't need any. That's fine. I'm going to try to sell one to you. That's Socrates. He's thinking. He's doing his work. It's okay. He says, do you have a lot of the ones that you do use? Do you work with? What do you work with, cattle out there on them, or what do you use them mostly for? Oh, well, actually, I only use them for one thing, and yes, it is cattle. I use it to take their manure, and then I go put that in a compost pile, and then I put in other things with that, you know, food trimmings, and I use that to put on my garden in the spring, and I'll do that all winter with those three wheelbarrows. And Socrates says, okay. Oh, well, that's good. So you do work year-round. Yes. There it is. There's your first yes. You've got the man saying yes. Okay, I bet it gets pretty cold when you're working out there in the winter, doesn't it? Yes. You see where I'm going here? Yeah, I'll bet. Bless your heart. Yeah. Do you have any help out there with you to work on the farm? No. Uh-oh. We just got kicked in the nuts using the Socratic method. Now we've got to get like 4 yeses in a row. No help out there. No help. My goodness. Would you like to have some help out there? Yes. I'm assuming that it's true that you don't have any children to help you out. Yes. Would you say that taking this compost out and making this pile for you is a very important thing because it directly affects your crops the next year? Yes. Well, have you had any trouble with the wheelbarrows that you have at home now? Yes. Okay. What kind of problems are you having? Well, the 4 I don't use all need some kind of work. The wooden wheel is, remember they didn't have inflatable wheels back then. Let's be real. The wooden wheel is it's all kinds of funky, and you know it's lump. You know, I get blisters on my hands because it's so hard to push it. Okay, but the other 3 are working. Yes. Socrates is talking. He's getting the yeses. The 3 that are working, would you say that you're having some levels of difficulty with those? Yes. What kind of difficulty are you having? Well, on 2 of them, they're just too heavy. So they're about 40 pounds apiece. I've got a couple other ones that are broken that are about 25 pounds. So after working for about 4 hours, I really start feeling it in my back. Socrates says, okay. And the 3rd one, anything wrong with that? He goes, well, that one's lighter and it does help, but the problem is that the handles are prone to bend. I've got these cast iron handles and I need to carry heavy loads because I'm working alone and I'm going a long way, and they tend to bend, and I don't have the iron that I need to reinforce them to keep them from bending. Okay. So you've got 4 that are out of commission and 3 you're not having a really good time with. Yes. Well, let me tell you something, sir. My wheelbarrows are 20 pounds. They are made of triple reinforced steel handles. They cost half of what you would get a new wheelbarrow for that's half the strength. And what's more, the wheels are treated with a special kind of water compound so that they will not lose their roundness and begin going in a square bump fashion. Why don't you come outside and try one out? Guy walks outside 10 minutes later, he's pushing his new wheelbarrow down the road. That's the Socratic method. That's how it works. Now that may just sound like a crafty sales technique to you, but Socrates would take that into selling ideas. He sure would. Now I'm not going to bore you with another, this was all off the top of my head. I don't use notes, and this is not something I remember from school. That story came right out of the back of my mind, just for fun. But what he'll do in an argument with you, you say, well, there's no God. Socrates says, well, there is. And you start saying something, he's going to start getting you saying yes. That's one of his, I guess you'd say it's the first trick he pulls out of his sleeve. I'm going to get this person saying yes. I'm going to get them where they got to say yes. Now, lawyers will do this, but for a different reason. If they can get you saying a bunch of yeses, then they might get you to say yes to something you shouldn't have said yes to. Because later they're going to come back and say it in such a way that you will want to say no to it, but you can't. Because you've already spoken under oath and you've said yes. Socrates also used this leverage on the yes-no thing. Well, wait a minute. 3 paragraphs into our conversation, you said yes to this. Now you're saying no? Bam. What do we got? We've got an incredible witness, don't we? Our storyteller has just lost his credibility. Who's winning that argument now? The person asking the question. Why do you think Socrates got famous? That's what he did, and he did it very well. Watch out for argument tactics. Watch out for those. Watch out when you're in a car sales lot and you really don't want to buy yet. You just want to shop around, but you've got the money in the bank. If somebody were crafty enough, they could probably separate you from your money, get you in a car. Watch out for that when they start getting you to say yes. Watch out for that. Watch out when they start saying, well, you can test drive it for a week, no commitment. Because then if you're test driving for a week, you're not really giving other cars a chance because they're going to offer you to test drive for a week. I can't, I already got this one from Chevy. Well, Mazda wants you to test drive one for a week. Little tricks they're going to use. What you should do when you go car shopping is say, I want to test drive for 10 minutes, and then I want to be done. If I need a salesperson to go with me, that's fine. If I have questions about the car, I will ask. Other than that, I'd like to keep it quiet. Is that okay? That's how I like to shop. If that's not okay, I'll go ahead to another dealership. That's all right, I understand. I'm not trying to impose my will on your dealership. But if I'm going to shop here, this is how I do what I do. They're going to say yes. There's a chance at a sale they're going to say yes. And as soon as he starts throwing out sales pitches, just put your hand up and say, I tried to ask nicely, but now I'm going to have to put it in more firm terms. I really don't want to talk about the high points of the car. I've done my research already. If I do have questions, which is unlikely, I'll go ahead and ask you. Right now, I just want to drive the car and feel it and listen to it. And then when we get back to the dealership, I'm going to look at other cars. So I'm not giving you any information, and I'm not giving you any phone numbers to call me on, and I'm not putting down any deposits on the car. And if I do decide to buy the car, when I come back, there's a decent chance that I'm going to take about 10% off of the sticker price you got to make my offer with. So those are all things you can put in my little file that you go make, but I'm not giving you any information. Be firm about it, because they are trying like hell to get you away from your money. That's all they're trying to do, and they will sound like your best friend, and they're good at it too. And some of them are really cool people, but they got to make their money. They have to. Don't fall into that. Don't be a sheep. Speaking of sheep, did we see some sheep last night, my friends? Did we see some sheep last night in Maryland? when a man got arrested for speaking his opinion about school teaching standards in an open forum, because that forum had insisted that this was going to be a, quote, silent forum, unquote. Why? So that everybody had to put their opinions and questions down on a card, and all the cards had to be handed in, and then they tell you they're going to ask all the questions to the panel there. Well, what happens? They always run out of time, don't they? That's not what happens. What happens is those questions are very quickly shuffled so that the hard ones and the accusatory ones are put underneath. Those are the ones that there are not time to ask. So there is a risk to having an open forum because the hard questions come popping out. Have you noticed that? That goes all the way back to Tase Me, bro. Anyway, just wanted to remind you, check out last night's show if you didn't catch it. Unacceptable. We are free Americans, and if we want to keep that freedom, you think China is the threat to our freedom? You think Russia is the threat to our freedom? You think anybody in the Middle East is the threat to our freedom? They're threats. They're remote threats. But they're not the real threat. We've got people attacking our freedom right now, and it is the authority in this country already. The ones we've elected and the ones that have been hired. Mostly law enforcement. The military-industrial complex, which is this big, giant, budget-eating monster that takes 20% of the GDP in this country and gobbles it up every year, and you're not allowed to ask a fucking question about it because it's for covert operations. What happens is a bunch of contractors get in there supporting this project or that, and they get gobbling up this money, and you can't do that for 3 or 4 years and then be okay with the money taken away. Hunger begets hunger. The machine is getting bigger and must be fed more. Well, after 9/11, we said, fuck our security. Do what you need to do to get these terrorists. Natural reaction, right? I had it. I shouldn't have. That's not the smart thing to do, but I had it. I was angry. I was enraged. I wanted to go over. I called my Air Force recruiter, the closest one I could find, that next day and said, I'll go back in. What are we doing? He said, I got your name. We'll give you a call. Because I'm 4T and can't be deployed globally, I was not called. But I was ready. And just as I said last night, by God, I don't care if my Air Force can send me over there. If we turn out through natural disasters and financial collapses and that the U.S. becomes 30th in the world power rankings, me and my homies will get on a damn rowboat with a trolling motor if we have to go over to Yemen or Oman or Saudi. It doesn't matter where, to wreck shit. And we're going to wreck shit. We're going to wreck shit like wrecks in effect. It's going to be so wrecked, you're going to think it was never built. That kind of wrecked. Me and my homies, if you heard Americans, are coming for you. If I don't, the guy behind me is. And if he don't, there's 3 more behind him that will. You're not going to get away with attacking Americans, my friends. I don't care where we are on the world power scale. Try it. Go ahead and try it. You're going to be in trouble. Because one thing about Americans is we love our freedom. Yeah, we've had a taste, and we love it, and we're not giving it up for anybody. We love our freedom. But when we are down and out and under the gun, ingenuity is our best strength. We will figure out a way to beat you quickly. I'm not talking about doing what the Taliban did along with the freedom fighters in Afghanistan when the Soviets came in the late 70s. No, I'm not talking about that. Anybody can do that. Hell, we fought guerrilla warfare here in the United States when the Brits came over during our war for independence. Anybody can fight guerrilla warfare. Let's see, one team, to borrow from Bill Cosby, one team will wear red uniforms, bright red uniforms, and line up in a perfect line. The other team can wear any color uniforms they want and hide behind the rocks and the trees. Who's going to win that one? I'll give you 3 guesses, but you only need one. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about We have the type of intelligence and ingenuity that the hardcore French resistance spies did under the Gestapo rule in World War II. Yeah, they were there. They had all balls, maximum amounts of courage. You cannot give someone more courage than they had. Always a Nazi breathing down their neck. Always the thought of torture and murder. A lot of them were killed just for demonstration, to say he might have been a spy. Okay, but they did it. And their job was to get information out to the Allies and or get information out to the French resistance and or to sabotage. And they did it. Maximum courage, maximum ingenuity. That's what we've got. That's how I know we can't be beaten. Don't be coming over here attacking Americans. Don't do it. You can hate us. You can hate us, take it up with the UN. You can unite with other countries to impose financial penalties on us, things of that nature. Don't be killing innocent Americans. God help you if you do. God help you if you do. Each time, we're going to be less careful about our response, I think, because we're getting tired of it. And what we want the world to know is, don't attack us. Hiroshima hurt, didn't it? Nagasaki, yeah, it was a kick in the balls, was it not? Shock and awe. The Taliban, how'd they feel? You know, Afghanistan, Iraq, how y'all doing right now? Yeah, you got punched 40,000 times by the Mike Tyson of militaries. Don't fuck with us again, okay? Don't. And you'll be okay. We'll let you live your life just like you want to. It's that simple. We're going to go on with some other stuff here now. We've looked at some problems outside the borders of our country, but we've been failing to adequately look at the problems inside those borders. And they do indeed beg for attention. If you've tried to call in already, I've missed it. When I get on my rants, I miss it, but I promise I'll focus on you the second half of the show. Turns out we've only been broadcasting for about 37 minutes. And this sick dude, this tired dude, this contorted dude, and I'll probably bitch a little bit about my medical conditions when I get back just to give you, I don't know, maybe it gives me a little heroic feeling for still broadcasting while being, I'm not afraid to talk about psychology and how the human mind works, including my own, you know, and I'll do it. I'll expose it. I think it's necessary, frankly. So we'll be back. I mean, I'll go ahead and play a couple Bad Ace songs. I'm going to go ahead and give my voice a rest. But I'm feeling pretty good right now, you know. Maybe this is a star shining brightest before it burns out. But I'm feeling pretty good right now, even though this was my worst day with my sickness, and I may be on this, you know, precipice of bronchitis, which always knocks me out for 4 days. If you've had bronchitis before, it feels like every single cough is a very hard man's punch right to the sternum. Every single cough feels like that. That's how it feels to me. I'm looking for, let's see if I still have it here. I doubt I do, but I'm going to look for it because I installed a new version of my software. I was looking for Logan's songs so we could play a couple of those. Let me think for a second, and I believe I can just add them into tracks. Okay, so if I go here, and I go to Add, and I go to Add Files, I should be able to go to Downloads and find them. So let's do it. Recent places, Downloads, looking, got it. Dream, Dark, and Cross. Bring them in. I'll go ahead and load up two of these. Logan Moxley, young man, out here in Matthews, Virginia, putting his musical skills to the test. Did all this, I believe, on a game system to show you that he didn't only create them by himself, but he was using a rather challenging system with which to create this music. Keep that in mind when you hear this music. You're listening to music from a kid that was created through difficult means. You understand? I'm going to start off with the longest one first. I'm actually going to put these in play queue, and I may play all three of them because they're so short. Now, bear with me because this is something I'm not really used to doing. Cross. I normally throw one on one play deck and one on the other and play 2 at the most, but I'm going for 3 here. So we'll see how that goes. Oh, lordy. I hope it fades from one to the other, because I'm going to go in and use the boys' room. We'll find out. All right. Before we do that, Kevin needs to remind you of what you're listening to. Here goes that.
You're listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.
Yes, you are. Not really necessary that we have the tornado/air raid warning going, but hey, it gets your blood pumping, so I do that. All right, how about this? Are you ready? You ready for Logan Moxley? You ready for him to get frick diggity dick diggity dick dick dicky? Well, if you're ready, good. If you're not, too damn bad, because here she goes.
You're listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.
Yeah, you are listening to Truth on Tap with your host Kevin Kierstead. Always banging, never relaxing. Let me tell you a little bit about me, and you can count on this if you're going to listen to my radio show. I'm coming with 100 different ideas at once. I will get people thinking. I hope not to lose too many friends through the things I say. If only they understood up front that however much I insult them, I am equally as likely to attack myself in the same capacity and my own beliefs. It's not you that I believe is wrong. It's your beliefs that I'll attack. And I will attack my own beliefs just as equal. Because if you don't do that, you start to settle. And when you start to settle, your mind starts to close. And when your mind starts to close, your education flatlines and progress takes a nosedive. New ideas, new discoveries are what brings growth. Now, on the right, most often what I see is that there is a huge movement against the word progressive. If you're a fan of Glenn Beck, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But stop for a second. Do you know what the word progressive means? It's really right there. The clue's right in the word. Take away the "if." Okay, it's progress. Progress. Making things better. Making things better. That's all it's talking about. Now, we can have a million different ideas and 10 trillion different debates on how to go about that. But don't you want things to be better? Good. Then let's make progress. Let's be progressive. Okay? This is something we're going to talk more about as the hour goes on. I keep getting confused. I'm using, and this time I told you we were going to talk a little bit about the technical angle of this when I got back. For those who haven't listened to me before, let me set the scene for you. I'm also an author, and I've always fancied myself a decent fiction writer, so I like to set scenes. I feel like I can just pull people into them. And my other strength in that area is knowing people. Oh, do I know people? It's a curse level sometimes. I know people. I become pretty predictive, and I know what they're thinking, and I know what they're going to do. I know people. Do I know car engines? Not my thing. No, sir. I could probably make one run if I had to, but no, not my thing. Do I know anything about particle physics? No. No. I'd stand there looking stupid in that class. I mean, I took physics in college and passed, but it's not a study area of mine, okay? But I've got my strengths just like you do. Well, one of my strengths does not happen to be audio setup. Do you understand? Yeah. So, I'm sitting on Facebook about 2 months ago, and I had been pondering this for many months before. I said to myself, Kevin, what are you doing? You're disabled. You're not working. You are occasionally able to fix some computers, make some money that way out of your house. You are occasionally able to make some paracord bracelets. That's a relatively new hobby / business venture I've tried. Not working out too well, but I still love making them. You are occasionally able to sell some of the novels that you've written online. Thought that would go a lot better. They're selling pretty slowly. Still swinging, always swinging. And that whole time, I said to myself, well, two things have to happen. I have to start bringing in a significant amount of income, and technically I qualify for the defined reasoning for Social Security disability and an increase in VA disability. I'm qualified, folks. I have the injuries they say we can get paid for. Now, to qualify for that, you have to work a certain number of years and pay a certain amount of money into it. So instead of thinking those are freeloaders, you may want to think, well, that's available for people that get disabled. However you judge that, I may just be a guy who's going to go ahead and be a bum. Yeah, I might go ahead and take my government allotted allowance, something to help keep me alive. I don't know. My back is just broken right now. It's busted all up. They want to do surgeries that involve cutting chunks of tailbone off and throwing in these giant rods and bolting them in 4 places, and you might end up with the side effect of, well, it's late at night, I guess no kids are listening. You could actually ejaculate back into your bladder, common side effect. I'll deal with the pain. I say that. But if I continue to deal with the pain, I continue to be not functional. So the question is, what risk are you ready to take? First surgery I took, they said it'd get better. It got worse. Second surgery I got said they were just going to localize the pain. Made it worse. Third surgery they offered, I said, no, not yet. This is back in 2007. And I'm still at not yet. At what point do you have to say, okay, yet? 2 surgeries on my right knee, it's getting worse. Severe arthritis in the low spine, moderate arthritis in the right knee. I'm not bitching. I'm just telling you where I am, telling you who you're listening to. Come back to audio. So here I go, a couple months ago, saying, I can't think of a good reason not to create a radio station. I just can't think of a good one. I've always had a fantasy with it. I haven't been obsessed with it. It's not something my friends would say, yeah, he always talked about starting a radio. No. But you would have seen clues of it. Like back in high school, I used to call the local radio station all the time to do voice impersonations. All the damn time. And I was good at it. I'm not good at it now. I haven't practiced in 20-odd years. Been through a couple of personal hells that did not involve comedy. And in my years in the Air Force, comedy was relatively frowned upon as an order of the day. I'm going to try this mute button because I just need to cough here. Let's hope it works the way I want it. Well, we'll see when I play it back. I think I'm at the edges of bronchitis. Been sick for a few days. Let's get on with it. So I say to myself, everybody's doing radio on the internet now. You don't have to go to broadcasting school. You don't have to know somebody on the inside and listen to some fucked up program director, station director, balk orders at you like he's some kind of Nazi, where you play songs you don't want to play, and you say things you don't want to say, and you're fired for things you do want to say if you say them. No, none of that's working for me. So I said, why not? And I posted it on Facebook. This is exactly what I posted. You can, those of you that are Facebook friends with me, scroll down about 10 or 12 pages, 15 pages. You're going to see this status that says, the more I think about it, I'm paraphrasing, it says, the more I think about it, the more trouble I'm having finding reasons not to start my own internet radio station. That's what I said. Sure enough, April Johnson pops up, Blog Talk Radio. A few others pop up, said various things like why not, or, things of that nature. I did start off on Blog Talk Radio, figured I'd give it a go, did a couple dumb shows, said, hey, this isn't bad. I don't know if it's for me, but, if I can figure out stuff to talk about and feel like I can do some good with the show, well, yeah, I'll do one. And then things started to sort of unfold, I was able to get some Bad A songs to play to support a local band. I got a press release out to the local paper, and listenership started doubling and tripling, and it's not such a bad deal now. This is what I'm doing. My studio is on the back porch of a house. It's my spot. It's my man cave that my girlfriend so joyfully and willfully lets me decorate in my own way. And I had read that red is a color that's good for mood. So if you can paint a room, paint it red. Painting it blue will get you depressed. Well, I'm a person who likes to stay in the middle, so I've got it red and blue. On top of that, red and blue are the main colors of my Washington Capitals, and I'm a fan. So couldn't lose with the red and blue. Got red sheets hanging up over the windows with other blankets behind them. That's both for absorbing sound echo and for giving me some privacy. Also because I live next to neighbors that are yard Nazis, is what I like to call them. If a leaf from our yard blows into their yard, it's international news. Yeah, so it's like that. They don't understand that we are 30 years their junior, that we still have lives to live, and we cannot spend 24 hours a day monitoring where a blade of grass may have gone into the ditch between our properties. We don't do that. We don't. Instead, we're worrying about making livings. Instead, we're worrying about kids and how they're doing in school and their social activities. Oh yeah. Instead, we've got 4 cats that think they're children. Instead, we're working on our own relationship to make sure that's on the up and up. Okay? We got a lot going on they don't have to worry about. So, listen to me, yard Nazis. Go out there and count the blades of grass to make sure an extra one didn't show up. You do that. Leave us the fuck alone. And I'm not making a request right now, okay? Just want to make sure that's clear. If any local people are listening, spread the word. Let's get back to the topic, though. And I might have a friend calling in here soon. It depends on whether or not she's still awake. We've only been broadcasting for an hour, so I may put in another hour, I may put in 2 more hours, and I'm going to explain to you why I feel pretty good right now in just a second. This story's almost not worth telling, so I'm going to condense it down to the 20-second version. When I first got out of the Air Force, had a very good friend give me a job I wanted as night auditor in a motel. I love the hospitality industry. I thought everything was like Cheers. And it was fun. Most of the time, him and I sat around drinking coffee and smoking cigarettes till the guest came. One thing led to another. All of a sudden, these guys come in from a company called... I can't give the company name out, but what they did was roofing. Okay, they came in to put roofs on these new buildings. That was what they did, and they came in once every 3 months or so. You get 15, 20, 30 of them coming in, getting rooms. They would like to go out and drink, though, the nights before. They were a special group. Not everybody did that. Always feeling that hangover in the mornings. So my very good friend Mike, and if you don't know Mike, you can read all about him in my first humor book, which was The Lost Dialogues of Table 18. And you can find that book on all the major sites. The Lost Dialogues of Table 18. You'll learn all about Mike. What a great guy he was. What an amazing and unique character he was. He's so unique that I had to refer to him as a pirate with a big bouncy hat. That's the only way I could figure out to present him in a book as he appeared in real life, because that's the kind of attention he commanded. So Mike, he's the manager of the motel at that time. He says, I got something for you guys. You national roofing guys like to go out and drink before you have to work the next day. That's not good. He said, Theraflu. Theraflu. 1,000 milligrams of acetaminophen. Mix it up. It doesn't taste the greatest. Mix it up in a hot cup of coffee. Hot cup of water. Chug it down. And those guys thought he was a miracle worker. Yeah, and it still works. Coming back to why I feel okay tonight, I did a Theraflu. I was feeling like total warmed over butt nugget spaghetti. And I'm sure such a thing exists somewhere. The butt nugget spaghetti I was feeling like was the cold kind that has been left in the refrigerator. Couldn't move, felt dead, smelled bad, probably, even though I just showered. Not feeling so hot. I said, I got to do something. I got to do something. I feel the bronchitis about to kick in, whereas the sting of the original cold is starting to wear off. The bronchitis is much worse. I call it a transitional phase. I go and look in the cabinet to see if we have any medicine. And I see, much to my surprise, because I'm very forgetful, that we have some daytime version of Theraflu in there. And I didn't want to be drowsy, so it was perfect. I dumped a pack in a cup, chugged it down. Hour later, and this was about midnight, so by 1 o'clock, I was feeling fan-dilly-damn-tastic, y'all. Still have the back pain and all that, but even that's being helped by the gram of acetaminophen I just took in. Theraflu works miracles. It does. I mean, I'm sure the generic stuff works pretty good too, but I've just had better luck with the name brand. So yeah, I'm pushing a product right now. I'm pushing Theraflu. I'm pushing it at least for people that get bronchitis or have a totally debilitating cold that just knocks you dead and all you want to do is sleep. I'm pushing it for you, and I'm pushing it for hangovers. Unless you got something better, tell me. If you got something better, I'll push that. You can carry the conversation on the Facebook page, facebook.com/truthontapshow. Don't forget the show, facebook.com/truthontapshow. Start any topic there. It can be about a show we've already had. It can be about a show you want to see. I had a friend mention an idea for a show. 15 minutes later, I was broadcasting. That was the topic. It was about, he said to me, hey, I got an idea. What about talking about the name of the Redskins and why maybe it should change or maybe it shouldn't? I was broadcasting 15 minutes later. One of my best shows ever. Great show. Yeah, so just let me know on the Facebook page. I don't know how many live listeners I have right now because I'm not looking at the stats, and frankly I don't really care because I get so many listeners that come ex post facto, especially with their judgments, but they'll listen in the morning, and I tend to be a night owl, so most of my broadcasts, especially the surprise ones, will pop up at night. Yeah, let me go see. Let me go see if this woman's awake. See if Michaela wants to come on. She's always got some interesting. She's getting more confident too, so that'd be nice if she could. 910 no lying is the number for anybody that wants to call in. Go ahead and call in. We'll get you on the air, and you can tell me about any of our major topics tonight. Or we can go off topic, but as a respect to the crowd, the audience, I like to try to keep it on, at least related to the topics. Now, if you've got a new topic you want to talk about, I'll come on and do a new show about it. But let's try to keep this one at least semi-related to the main topic. And that main topic in this case is subtle racism, jumping to conclusions, and the trickery used by human beings when they're having arguments, that meaning trying to make a point, not having knockdown drag-out arguments, just trying to make a point. The trickery they use. Trickery's got to be called out. Let's at the very minimum figure out what trickery they're using so we'll know how to counter it. You know, because do you want to be a victim of that trickery? I don't. You know, My Alien in Name of Alt, the first book I ever wrote about an alien on Earth, he has a pet. The pet is actually smarter than him. His name's Khan. And Khan uses this technique in arguments. And again, these are friendly discussions. His argument will say, no, you're wrong. It's not what you said because it's a list of things. Okay, now what is that really saying? It is what you said because your thing is in the list. That's what he could have said. But technically, it's not what you said because what you said was too limited. There's more than that. So although you weren't wrong, you were incomplete. And he's fair to call you wrong because you didn't give the rest of the story. So that is a way to make someone look wrong when really they're just not finished with their argument. It's another trick. Don't let anybody use that on you. Come right back and say, I am not wrong because it's more than one thing and I just said one thing. There's simply more to add to what I said was the cause or the answer. That's not wrong. That's simply incomplete. There's quite a difference, thank you. Excuse me. Call them out on it right there. Right there. Don't let anybody use tricks like that to make you look wrong. Newt Gingrich is a prime example of someone that will do that. Oh, he loves using the trickery to try to make you look wrong, and people are afraid to butt back in. Butt the hell back in when you got somebody bullying you like that. I hate a bully. God damn a bully. But we deal with them, don't we? Got them every day. Oh, Lordy. Homework check, World War Z not check. I'm too tired, but I'm going to try to watch it. And she posted that. Well, she posted it 21 minutes ago, so I'm guessing she must be watching TV right now. So we probably won't have Michaela on this show. That's okay. That's all right. That's all right. That's all right. What's the show we got on? That's the stupid show. And what's this one? Yeah, I don't know. What's this one? Freedom of speech. I want the iPhone. Okay. Ramsey has his... You guys don't know Ramsey. You should. He comes on my Friday shows. He's a short Arab American midget with anger problems and type A personality, an extreme overachiever who's probably going to drop dead of a heart attack by the age of 45, the way he's so tightly wound. He hates me because I'm a tall, white American imperialist who manages to stay calm and will probably outlive him thereby. But he was on an official radio station this time, headphones and all, on 88.3 FM, a promo. Ramsey has a, what you would call an angle. How many Arabs do you know that are tiny guys that are comedians? Think about it. But here's another better one for you. How many short Arab comedians do you know that take on tall, white American imperialists? What a fucking show we would be out there. And we dig at each other all the time. Not intentionally. It's just to have some fun. Because isn't that really what's going on? The Middle East digging at the West and vice versa? You know, or the big monsters stomping all over the globe. No respect for anybody's culture. They're the terrorists that are going to blow up the planes and everything else. You know, he's not one of those guys. He's very much a patriot. He's not even a Muslim. He's a Christian. But if you've heard my religion show, you'll know why it shouldn't matter if he's a Muslim. It should not matter when people say all the time, Obama's a Muslim. First of all, he's not. Do you want to believe it? I can't talk you out of believing it if you want to. If you want to believe it, do me a favor. Pause this show for the next 2 minutes. Just pause it. Okay? Because I'm about to prove you wrong and you don't want to hear this. All right? Pause the show. All right? I assume you have it paused now. Barack Obama was born and remains a Christian. A Christian. But let me take you over to a little document we like to call the Constitution. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, First Amendment rights. Guess what? If he was a Muslim, who the fuck cares? You're allowed to be any religion and be our president. The Muslim religion does not condone murdering other people. Extremist Muslims take small parts of the book, just like extreme Christians do, and turn it into the permission to murder. That's what they do. That's all they do. Okay? So just stop that. Stop that insanity. The birth certificate was real. This shit you're listening to is ridiculous, man. It just is ridiculous. If you want to believe it, I can't help you. I can't help you. I mean, there's 40 million people that have looked into this, and they've all found that the birth certificate is legitimate. The man was born in Hawaii, not Kenya. And if you want to get into that, John McCain wasn't even born in the United States. Jesus. It just bothers me. The whole conspiracy thing, when it's false, it bothers me. It bothers me. All right, well, you people that are tuning back in because you want to believe what you want to believe, welcome back. We'll change the subject. Barack Obama can be a Muslim if you want him to. I guess he was born in Kenya if you want him to be. He don't have a birth certificate since you don't want him to. You know, and we could go on. I mean, global warming is a scam, right? Of course. The left don't know what they're talking about. Right, of course. The right's got it all figured out, right? They're the ones. They're the clear-viewed ones. Is that what we're going for? Is that what you're thinking? All right. Just want to make sure I know where I stand here. I can't be honest and keep all my friends. I can't. I have to factor in everything I've seen and everything I know and everything I believe based on what I've seen and know into my current beliefs. And using my current beliefs, I see most people on the extreme right as intolerant, narrow-minded pricks. Yeah, I do. If you're the wrong race, the fuck out. You're the wrong religion, get the hell out. If you don't think exactly like I do, take a fucking hike. If you want to change anything, add new roads, and make better infrastructure, put up new bridges, fuck you. Going toward the left, you get the opposite. Then when you get the extreme left, you get, don't chop down this tree. I'm hugging it. I'll stay in it. We can't use oil anymore. I'm going to bomb the oil refineries. These are the extremists on both ends. And I don't like either of you. And I mean that sincerely. I think you're hurting this world necessarily. Let's see, Michaela, why don't you tune in and you see, but I'll tell you, this show is about subtle racism, argument tactics, and what was the third thing? Jumping to conclusions. So hopefully she'll be up on one of those. Maybe she'll call in. I don't even have the right window open if she did call in to answer the call. So not much good that would do, but we'll see. Excuse me for coughing, folks. I'm not used to coughing, and I normally have very good manners, but my equipment is still relatively new. You know, I'm using this Plantronics headset to give the audio I can bring you. And it has a mute button in line with it, but I'm afraid if I hit the mute button, it's going to mess up something in SAM, my broadcasting software. So I'm always flipping back and forth, and I'm not a multitasker. So yes, I'm going to cough into the mic once in a while. I'm sorry. I will perfect that over a period of time, and it's going to take some time. Come back in 6 months, and you'll hear a refined man. But stay tuned every episode to watch the transformation. Do we want to get back into subtle racism? Because isn't that the next step in America? We've taken away, let's go string one up, don't go get us a nigger and hang him out by the tree, yeah. Or, on the other side, I'm going to get that honky bitch and set him on fire, right? Is that where we were? Are we getting out of that? If we're getting out of that, what are we getting into? You don't just take one step out of that into some sort of, I don't know, into some sort of perfect world regarding race relations. You know, that doesn't work. There's a transition. So we'll go from extreme racism to moderate, and maybe we've already come through moderate. If we have, we're in subtle now. If not, we're still in moderate. All right, so we're either in moderate or subtle racism for those that wish to be racist right now. Should we be easier on subtle racism since it's not so severe? I guess. I mean, penalty-wise, maybe yes, but not in bringing it out, not in exposing it. I think we should be just as hard on exposing it, because let's not forget that a lot of racism is natural. It is natural to seek out people that look like you. Okay? But here's where it takes a twist. Once you've been integrated into a community and you find out that people with other colored skin want the same things you do, will fight beside you in a war to save your country, will serve alongside you at your job and do things to help you. Could be the doctors operating to save your life. These things start to happen. You need to have a shift in your thinking. Stop thinking that there's something wrong with people of other colors and start realizing that color doesn't matter. If you're going to judge somebody, judge the individual. Okay? Judge the individual, or don't judge anyone at all. My friend Dave says we judge everybody. We do it all the time. I guess it's a natural thing to judge, yes, but I think I've taken a certain, like this subconscious path where I said to myself 5 years ago, I got to learn not to judge, and I don't know. Sometimes when you get something in the back of your head like that, it starts working. It starts working on itself to build into more strength, and you aren't even really consciously working on it. And I find myself judging a lot less now. I'm judging, and I'm talking about people's value systems, and that's it. I mean, you know, if I see a plane flying toward my house, can I judge that I am now in an unsafe situation? Yeah, I'm judging that. Yeah, of course I am. But I'm not going to say that all planes are out to kill me, am I? And that's really what judgment is. It's stereotyping, and stereotyping and judgment are kissing cousins. Far as racial profiling goes, I believe in it. I think it should be done on all races. I think it's stupid to say you got a serial killer on the loose. Let's go look for a black woman. The data suggests that it's probably not a black woman. Why don't we take a look at our white middle-aged males first? You got a crime that's unsolved. Turns out it was a carjacking. Blacks are guilty of, say, 73% of carjackings, as according to the data. I'm probably going to be looking in the hood first at my blacks before I start looking at the whites and the Hispanics and the Asians and the Pacific Islanders. Let's be smart about that. Israel does it. Never had a hijacking. They use racial profiling. It's just smart. As long as you're not racist, racial profiling is a tool, and it's a good tool. If you're racist, well, then you can start using it to beat up on one or the other race a little bit, harass them. You know, I don't know if we're mature enough right now to handle racial profiling in the way that it can be used as a strength. Maybe we're not. Maybe we're not. And even if we were, would those on the receiving end of it, regardless of which color they were, accept that? Would they believe that they were rather being targeted? I guess they would. I don't know. What are the other topics we're talking about today? We've kind of I've kind of exhausted the topics of argumentative techniques. I mean, there are so many more that I want to tell you about, but I haven't pulled up websites about it. I can't think of more off the top of my head. One of the things I'm going to be doing is working on sound effects, because I think sound effects are fun if used properly, to make this show just a little more ding-dang, you know. As far as argumentative techniques, you know, there are ways to win any argument, and there are ways to lose them. One of the things I want to remind you of is hosts of shows, authors, everybody is having a challenge now, and the challenge is you're out there putting out answers to questions when people have Google. How are you going to compete with a good search engine? Well, the good thing about a radio show is, one, it is real time and live. Two, it can involve interaction from the people that are interested in it, which can in itself evolve into instant solutions. And three, you're getting a voice into it, and people that can get their voice into something tend to become more interested in it. So you get more of an impact with them learning. You know, reading an article is one thing. Talking over the phone into a radio show, you remember that. You'll remember that. So it's great for memory impression. So I'm not worried about taking on the search engines. In fact, I'll try to find topics that the search engines have not even yet pondered. Didn't do that tonight, though. In fact, that's what I was going to take you to. If you want to know more about tricks and techniques to win arguments, I encourage you first to be honest. don't use lies or strong tactics of misleading in your arguments, because even if you win a few that way, over time, those that are wise will watch you and you will lose credibility. If you are as honest as possible in your arguments and you're solid with the logic, you're going to win, and your reputation will grow and gain from that. So be honest. Go on Google. Look up for some ways to win arguments calmly without getting angry. Do those. You'll be fine. Why don't you look up subtle racism while you're at it? Because I think that although it's not being talked about, it's our next step in racism. And that doesn't just come from whites to blacks, folks. That comes from blacks to whites. That comes from blacks to whites. That comes from Hispanics to whites. That comes from Asians to blacks. It comes from everybody to everybody. Subtle racism. Okay, I accept you now, but guess what? We're still not hanging out at each other's house. Most of us aren't. Some of us got that black friend we'll do that with. Most of us aren't. That's something to think about. Look at the white churches and look at the black churches. Look at that segregation. You really think we've arrived? We haven't arrived. People are still sticking to their own. Maybe that's a thing of nature, but I think it's time that our civilized minds were able to overpower that natural tendency to only want to hang out with our own kind. Human beings don't get to pick which color they're born. They don't get to pick. And it is absolutely unfair and intolerant to not accept one because of the way he or she was born. You know? What it is who is that person? What are they like? And then the third thing we talked about tonight was we did subtle racism, we did argument tactics. Jumping to conclusions. That is my worst one. Of all these, I think racism is eventually going to iron out. I think argumentative tactics will help you if you study them. Jumping to conclusions. I'm not talking about in emergency situations where you have to come up with some kind of conclusion so you can take the next step to save yourself or others. I'm talking about looking at a picture or a quote or a saying or a quick news clip or listening to a soundbite and jumping from point A, I don't know, to point Z, it is solved. Stop that. Everything you hear, everything you see, read, should be taken not with a grain of salt, but with a half a salt shaker full of salt. Except right then that you do not know the facts, especially on early preliminary reports of anything on the news. You don't know the facts. If you look at a picture and you don't know the facts behind the people in that picture or what caused the destruction you're seeing in that picture, it is absolutely wrong for you to start making assumptions. What you should say to yourself is, I need to go find more evidence about this, see what's going on. My gut feeling might tell me something's going on, but that's not accurate. That's not something I can sell people. Well, my gut tells me it's this. What I need to do is go find out what happened. Let me go to another news source real quick. Maybe they got some better photos. Maybe they got some interviews with these people that were actually in this situation. Prime example, Glenn Beck. Glenn Beck jumping up on his show, showing that he didn't think we should be arming the damn Syrian rebels. Because if we armed the Syrian rebels, we would necessarily be arming animals. Why? Because one guy was found on the rebel side cutting open the chest of the Syrian National Army, cutting open the chest of one of their members, eating his heart. Took a bite out of his heart. What they didn't show, so now you make your conclusions, right? Oh my God, we can't give arms to them. Well, you jumped to a conclusion. So did he. I went and got more information. Oh yeah, I sure did. They interviewed that guy. Did you know that? They interviewed that guy that ate that heart. That guy had seen on the very soldier's phone that he killed video of him humiliating a woman and a child on the rebel side of things. He had been subject to seeing an 11 and 14-year-old boy gang raped by Assad's regime, this heart eater. He had been in a village where all the girls that were around 12 and 13 years old were hunted like animals, raped, gang raped, and then killed so they couldn't report to the humanitarian agencies. You see that among your brothers and sisters. Imagine it in this country. And what are you going to do when you kill your first enemy combatant? I don't think I'd eat a heart, but I'll be goddamned if I blame him. And I'm surprised he didn't eat the dude's brain too. You know? Because rage makes people do that. These people, these Syrian rebels, were protesting because of what happened to some kids that dared protest in school. And as soon as the protests start, Assad's regime started firing on them. Oh, Lord, if you go to the funeral for one, you'll get shot in the head at the funeral. Somebody calls the ambulance because you got shot in the head at the funeral. Well, by God, they'll launch a rocket at the ambulance. Do you see what I'm getting at here? You tell me what's fair. Peaceful protest met by mortar. How's that work? Keep our nose out of it, right? Let the 5 and 10-year-olds keep getting gang raped. Let the mothers burst into flames while they're cooking for their children. Let 20% of the Syrian population, innocent, be taken to prison and have limbs cut off for torture. Let it go. It's not our problem. I think we better give that one another look, folks, because this whole thing about removing chemical weapons was not even the point to begin with. We should have been in there, just as I've argued with my friends, since it first broke out. We should have been in there. If we can't get in there because you don't want to spend American dollars, we certainly have the political capital to light a fire into the UN's ass and get them in there. You don't stand around and let an entire society get attacked and murdered and expunged from the face of the earth by their government. There is something very inherently wrong with that, and we know it. Civil war is a different thing. This is the government attacking its people, folks. We got to do something. Let's push the UN. I can't seem to get my fellow Americans on board with wanting us to get boots on the ground. Let's push the UN, because boots on the ground is the only thing that's going to fix it. Trust me when I say, and I feel alone right now, but trust me when I say that we are making a huge mistake by not getting boots on the ground right now in Syria. There will come a day when more people than not blame us for not doing anything. That's coming. That day is coming. Let me tell you what else is coming. The end of this show is coming up here soon. So what I'm going to do for now, let's first remind you of what you've been listening to.
You're listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.
Now, that's yours truly. And by the way, that voice was the voice of the greatest voice ever, Wes Johnson. He has a history with radio up there in D.C., and he happens to currently be the Capitals arena announcer. And he is the greatest arena announcer to ever bless an arena. You don't go to a Capitals game, whether you like hockey or the Capitals, and not move around, because Wes insists that you do. You don't even have to be drinking the beer. You don't have to be caught up in the frenzy of the electricity of the crowd. Once Wes gets going, you're moving. You could have a bad back, and you'll be dancing like Bill Cosby. See? You're going to be moving because Wes insists that that's what happened. He will do that to you. As always, I like to say congratulations to Wes Johnson for being the greatest PA announcer ever to bless the face of this earth, and how lucky we are to have him in Washington. I will be doing another show tomorrow, most likely, called Caps on Tap. It's a spinoff of this show, Truth on Tap, but revolving around my Washington Capitals. I don't know if I'll have another regular show tomorrow. May not. If you got ideas, go put it on the Facebook page, facebook.com/truthontapshow. We're getting ready to lead out here. I'm going to lead you out with two songs. One's going to be Without You by Bad Ace. The other one is going to be Falling Faces by Bad Ace. And just to let you know, I am trying to get some more music in from them so you get a little bit more variety. They're working on that right now, so we'll get to it. I also may have a documentary we're putting together on them here soon. Not sure about that. That's just an idea we're bouncing around. But just wanted to kind of get that seed planted in the garden of your thoughts. and see what it might grow into. And I'm going to get this started. And once I do, that's going to be it. So I'm going to say thank you for listening to Truth on Tap with your host, Kevin Kierstead. Peace and out.
Every night just looking for someone to light my fire. Without you
Truth on Tap with host Kevin Tears.